Hello everybody and welcome to round number 7 of the 2022 GP4 F2 Offline Championship. We are here at the Nürburgring for the F2 European Grand Prix and hopefully we're in for an exciting qualifying session. I'm JW97 and just like yesterday I'm joined by Dennis Graf.
Yes, it's me. Good evening, everybody. Or good Abend, as we are in Germany, of course. Yeah, it's good to be here. Of course, after some exciting action in Budapest or at the Hungarian, it's now time for Formula 2 to get some action here at the Nürburgring.
Yep, indeed, and hopefully we're in for a good race here as we will have 34 laps of action here at the Nürburgring. So we might as well get on with the grid then. As soon as Flo takes down the graphic, we will get underway with the grid. And here we go then. So, 4x4 as per usual. So on pole position, for the third time in his feeder series career, we have Ento Sinanome, the championship leader on pole, with his nearest rival, Jafari Blackwood, in second. Then it is the two Charuzas on row 2, with Alexander Arnold in third and Joseph Frederick Suto in fourth.
In P5, we have Andreas Hasenhoff and Unai Virtuosi. P6 and P7, we have the two MP Motorsport cars with David Oscar in P6, Tobias Quest in 7th, with Wojtek Mazek in Prema P8.
And it is Bernardo Di Olivero in 9th with Kai Sereznia in 10th. Then it is Santino Andrioli in 11th, followed by Ruslan Propsiuk in 12th.
In 13th, we have the Campos and James Stewart. Nicolas Sauber will start from 14th on the grid. Aaron Curtis in Trident in 15th. And Agatino Bilbon on the second Prema P16.
It is Adam Chobot in the second Trident, who starts down in 17th, with Joao Petra Kirby in 18th. Alex Broster starts in 19th, with Aggie Prazan in 20th. And on the back row of the grid, Dennis?
It is Jake Tillersley in the second Garland, and from John Rothschild China in the second Unai Virtuosi.
Yep, let's see what the weather has in store for us here at the Nürburgring then. As it is going to be dry, so a complete contrast to what we saw over at Budapest for the top class. A completely dry race, but as we know with Flo's weather forecast, sometimes that can be wrong. So let's open that one in mind. So anyway, hopefully we'll be in for a good race. It's going to be quite a long run into the first corner, and a lot of opportunities for perhaps some action there, and maybe even some incident as well. It is as it does narrow up into that first corner. So we'll wait and see how that one sort of pans out as well. As we are now on the grid then, getting ready for the start of the F2 race here at the Nürburgring. We have got Sinanome on the right of your screens. We've got Blackwood on the left, the top two in the Drivers' Championship. Who is going to get the lead into the first corner as we wait for the 5 red lights to come on to signify the start, as we now have 5 lights on your screen. And it is lights out, and away we go here at the Nürburgring. Who's going to get the lead in the first corner? The top two get away low. Looks like Sinanome has got a better start than Blackwood, though, as they both had quite an equal start. As Arnold just behind there is trying to get the jump on Blackwood. In fact, Blackwood has dropped back, and Arnold is up into second place and trying to get on the inside of Hento Sinanome into the first corner to go side by side through to turn 1 and around turn 2 to go. But Arnold not able to hang around the outside, and he's opened the door for Sazonov to get by into second place. So after an initial great start for Blackwood on the second phase of the start, he's dropped back down to 5th. Not a good start for him. Did everybody get through the first corner safely? It looks like it has. No incident to report, thankfully. Everybody went through the first few corners safely, but it's Sinanome who leads the way from Sazonov in second, Arnold in third, followed by Suto in fourth, Blackwood down to 5th, Oskin in 6th position now. Then is the two MP Motorsports. Look like they've been split after being together at the start, with Tilsley bringing up the rear of the field. But a clean start so far, Dennis.
Yeah, luckily it's a clean start so far. But actually, you can see that Blackwood and Sazonov actually swap places somehow, with Sazonov gaining 3 places and Blackwood losing 3 places.
Indeed, as now they go under the banner, which has some significance now, if you didn't see the announcement yesterday, as now they come around the left-hander now then. There's a bit of contact there between Sturt and one of the Tridents there, but luckily nothing major there. That Trident being Aaron Curtis, because Chobot is down to the back of the field, as Sazonov and Sinanome are leaving the two Charuza to deal with it at the chicane, as Arnold's going a bit defensive. You've got his teammate Suto all over the back. Meanwhile, Oskin trying to have a go at Blackwood into the chicane, but it's not going to work out. It's a pit call, actually. As Oskin's bounced on the curb and he's out of the race. It looks like the curb has done that to him, as his teammate has also got damage. Tobias Quest, damage as well for Di Oliveira, damage for Andrioli as well. So a few cars with damage, and they're having to make their way back to the pits. It's chaos coming out of that chicane there, as everybody's trying to fizzle their way through. But I think Oskin just got on the curb, and so it looks like Sazonov is trying to take the lead from Sinanome into the first corner, but he can't make it work again. Sinanome hangs in there on the outside and holds on to the lead. But yeah, Dennis, I think the curb is the thing to blame there for Oskin's retirement.
Yeah, it definitely is. It doesn't look like there was some contact on board from Oscar, but of course we have to take a replay of that crash as we see now Andreoli, of course, and the other two guys getting the damage repaired.
Hopefully, Cress
Yeah.
isn't stuck there, by the way, because he hasn't moved at the moment, and now he's been given the call. I think it might have been a delay because I think he had rear wing damage as well as opposed to front wing damage, so it's obviously going to take him longer. But he already had rear wing damage already. But let's have a see. And yeah, it was
Yeah, it was the curb.
the curb clearly collapsed his suspension there at the rear, so a bit of a clumsy error there from Samatosco, and that's how Cress got damaged because Andreoli ran into the back of him going into the heaven there. Andreoli, I think, clipped the back of Cress, and then he went into the back of De Oliveira. He didn't initially get damaged, but then I think De Oliveira ended up getting damaged as soon as he clipped the stranded Oskin there, and he's ended up having to go into the pits as a result. And yeah, I think it is because of Oskin, and yeah, he just clipped in there, and he ended up losing his front wing. So 3 cars having to pit for front wing repairs, and in the case of Cress, it had to be a front and rear wing repair, which is why he's behind these two coming out of the pits. But yeah, chaos at that part of the track there.
Yeah, very much big chaos. Huge shame for Oscar after quite decent qualifying yesterday. Yeah, now Sazonov is going for the lead as we speak, but also we have Arnold in the mix.
Yep, as everybody's still trying to fizzle their way through, these are all the cars that obviously got caught up with what happened there. As Prazan actually got one of the Camposes there on the exit, going into the corner there. As meanwhile, Sazonov and the two Charuzas all over the back of Cento Synonym. As now Arnold at his home race trying to see if he can get Sazonov. As everybody going defensive into the chicane there. They've got to be careful about that bump as... oh, for some reason, there's damage for Arnold
both
there.
Charus!
And, Suto just ran into the back.
What was Suto doing?
Rule 1, never hit your teammate. I was wondering there where on earth did that debris come from, which Charuz it was, and it was both of them. So rule 1 in racing, never hit your teammate, and well, clearly that didn't get through the Charuz's door there, that's for sure. More locking up, going through into the chicane there as everybody trying to avoid each other as best as possible. But yeah, well, the Charuz's there, they've only really got themselves to blame really, and the team boss is not going to be happy with them.
Yeah, he will be absolutely fuming about this. Because they were in 3rd and 4th with a big gap to the cars behind. And yeah, now it's all ruined at the moment.
For Suto, it's going to be calmer for him, really, because he's going to have to be the one that double stacks behind Arnold, so he's going to have to wait a long time as a result for the mechanics to get ready for his new parts. But yeah, I don't think he'll be a lap down, luckily, but he's going to be a long way off the pack as a result. But it's now left Sazonov and Synonym, the only two, to fight it out for the lead. Blackwood has got back up to 3rd now as a result of what happened with the two Charuzas there. And of course, let's not forget, he is the nearest rival to Synonym in the championship at the moment.
Yes, indeed, lots of close fights also for the championship standings. So yeah, now Kulasek is defending, also locking up there. So by the way, look at the start from Aaron Curtis. He all of a sudden gained 10 places, and Prazan even gained 11.
Excuse me there, my hay fever's kicking in there. I was just about to speak. But yeah, Aaron Curtis up into 5th place. A great start. And he's all over the back now of Rustam Proxius high-tech, trying to see if he can try and pressure him into a move, maybe into the chicane now then. As now through into the right-hander, is Curtis going to get a run onto Proxy here? He's in the slipstream of the high-tech car, thinking about a move on the inside, but thinks better of it. In fact, Proxy closing the door there just as they approach the chicane. Now, what's going on at the front, of course, because we know that Sazonov is close to Synonym. I'm not sure if he's close enough to go for a move. Just looking on the minimap, I don't think he is. So Synonym will hold on to the lead as Kirby. Luckily for him, his suspension didn't collapse like Oskin's did there, so clearly... it's safe to say that Oskin's suspension was probably made of quavers there, going around that part of the track. As now we look at James Sturt, who's now trying to attack Wojtek Kulizak into the first corner there, although Kulizak trying to shut the door. Sturt tries to see if he can have a go. Oh, he clipped the curb there. And, well, I thought for a minute he was going to T-bone into the back, and Prazan says, thank you very much, I'll take that, just as he also, at the same time, overtakes Nicholas Zor back there.
Yeah, absolutely smart driving there from Prazan, using the mistake of Sturt there, gaining 2 places. Yeah, his charge is definitely on. Speaking of charges, Sazonov is very close to the back of Synonym.
Yes, indeed, as Sazonov now tries to look to the inside. It's in
Oh,
no contact
contact.
with Nick, but luckily nothing major there.
Ooh,
Luckily,
lucky.
Sazonov didn't spin, and luckily, Sinano didn't go straight on into the gravel there. But yeah, that was maybe a little bit of a warning shot there from Sazonov to say that, well, be careful, I'm right behind you. As Prazdan tries to go for a move into the hairpin himself. Unfortunately, Kulisek doesn't work out as a back out of it. Last minute at the moment, as Curtis is still stuck behind Ruslan Protsiuk at the moment as they come up the Schumacher S now then, heading it towards the left-hander, as now going defensive is Protsiuk into the left and right-hander, same with Kulizek, who's got the other high-tech of Prazan right behind, as now we can see that Zorbak's actually trying to get back at Sturt just there after he decided to bunny hop over the first corner there, as now towards the chicane now then we go, as it looks like everybody's staying single file for the moment, and I wonder if Synonyms got a gap now to Sazonov, because it looks like quite a big gap towards the front. And yes, and that's because Blackwood is now attacking Sazonov into the first corner. Can Blackwood take second place? No, he can't. Looks like Sazonov just did enough to fend off there, and he holds on to second place for the moment. And meanwhile, Sturt now back on the case of Aji Prazan. Can he this time not bunny hop the curb into the first corner? Prazan already going defensive into that first part. Careful, Sturt, you've already bunny hopped this curb once. He's bunny hopped it a little bit, but he's still going to remain side by side, but loses traction. Zorbak, though, not able to capitalise, as he's still currently in a Campos sandwich at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, Zorbak, a former Campos driver, when it was called GP2, as a matter of fact. But
Yes,
here, it's still also Blackwood, I think, is coming closer to the top 2.
Is indeed the top 3 now pretty close together. As meanwhile, Prazan trying to attack Wojciech Kulizek down into the hairpin again. Is he going to try and dive it down the inside? Kulizek's left the space. Prazan's going to go for it, and that's a beautiful move from the Indonesian, or is it? Because Kulizek hands it around the outside and holds on to the place. I thought Prazan had pulled it off there, but clearly not. And he holds on to the place as a result. Does Wojciech Kulizek a Suto, who's towards the back to set the fast lap, but of course it will not go. It will not be for a bonus point because you have to be in the top 10 to get that bonus point. Otherwise, it will go to the next fastest guy who is in the top 10. So at the moment, although Suto's got the fastest lap, he will not get the bonus point because he's not in the top 10 at this stage. So I'll be curious to see who's got the second and third fastest laps. As we now look at Zorbak, who's now all over the back of James Sturt here, but Sturt holds on to the place for the moment as Nico bunny hops the curve. At least his suspension is not made of quavers like Sam Toscan's was. As now we come towards the Coca-Cola curve. As now we see that is Zorbak going to be put under pressure. He's too far back to challenge Sturt, and the same for Brostor and Zorbak as well. Meanwhile, Chobot trying to attack Kai Seversnia. Bit of a battle going on a little bit further behind. This is Kirby now attacking Keoshani, who's trying to make amends after his suspension failure from qualifying yesterday that prevented him from setting a time. And Kirby up into 14th as he, or is Keoshani going to try and hang it around the outside? He does do, so he holds on to 14th place. And at the moment, the driver is finding it a little bit difficult to overtake people so far.
Yeah, indeed. If you're defending at the moment, especially here at the hairpin, if you're even a bit behind, you have the traction on the outside to regain that place. But currently, it looks a bit difficult to overtake here.
And it doesn't help really that the top 3 fastest drivers are outside of the top 10. So it's going to be whoever's fourth now on the road. So we haven't really got a clue at the moment who's holding onto that bonus point. Just as Suto sets another fastest lap there, 1:35.790. As we now look at Synonym, who could be coming under pressure again from Andrei Sazonov very soon as they make their way into the chicane, as Blackwood looks like he's falling back a little bit at the moment. As we now look at Aaron Curtis, who's just coming around the right-hander and now approaching the chicane, as now defending the inside there goes Protsiuk, as he's still fending off from Aaron Curtis at this stage, as we're on to lap 7 of the race now then here at the Nürburgring. Chobot still trying to put Cerezzi under a bit of pressure, trying to look into the chicane, but contact been made there, but thankfully no spin there. I think there might have been a bit there as well between Chobot and maybe Bavona as well, but luckily nothing major there. As Curtis tries to look to the inside of Proxy, but it looks like he hasn't quite got the straight line speed on the high-tech driver, so he has to hang back for the moment. The other high-tech still can't find a way through on Kulizek at the moment. Meanwhile, Tilsley trying to overtake Kirby into the first corner if he can. Has he got enough momentum to get by the ART into the first corner? They're side by side down towards turn 1. Has Tilsley got enough on the inside? The answer to that is no. Again, Kirby holds on to the place for the moment, and again, the driver's finding it difficult to overtake at the moment.
Yeah, of course. This track has only, I would say, few overtaking spots, real overtaking spots. But now maybe we could see Curtis. No.
Oh,
Oh,
he's going to
is it?
go for his
No.
dive pit. That's a good
Whoa!
move.
Amazing
That's a
move.
good move there from Curtis. I don't know if it's because Protsuit locked up there or not, but either way, Curtis up into 4th place. He's finally got the move done. Was there a lockup? And no, I think it might have been just a tad bit of oversteer from Protsuit there. And Curtis just said, thank you very much. I take that place with ease. Curtis up into 4th place. Now can he break away from Protsuit and maybe try and catch up to the top 3 in front?
Yeah, maybe, but look at this. Potsuk is already very close to the back once again. He maybe could have a shot of retaking the place in the chicane, but now Curtis has, as I was speaking, has got some gap. But now Prazan, could he maybe make the move?
Let's have a look as they now make their way towards the chicane now then, as Kulizek defends the inside from Prazan. Prazan still can't find a way through at this stage, as Keoshani trying to get back at Bavona in front at the moment, as Bavona's miserable season continues so far. Of course, as we know from the news that came out from the sign-ups that opened on Saturday, that Prema, of course, will be pulling out at the end of the season due to a run of poor performances over the last few seasons, and well, Bavona currently confirming that at the moment, although Kulizek is up in 6th, so he's doing quite decently, but yeah, really last chance for them to try and go out of the championship with a bang, really, as now Keoshani on the inside of Bavona heading into the first corner. He might have the overlap here through turn 1. Danny inside he goes. Has he got the move done? Can Bavona hang around the outside? No, he can't. And Keoshani up into 13th place.
Yeah, that was a good move from Charles China, indeed. So there was Andreoli fighting against Arnold, who's trying to catch up to the back of the pack.
Of course, he had damage as well from the contact he had with his teammate Suto, and Suto's not really recovered, but it looks like Arnold's starting to make a recovery as well, unlike him at the moment. 0.9 seconds the gap between the top two. Meanwhile, Prazan on the inside, and he finally gets a move done on Wojtek Kulizek, and he's up into 6th place, passes at the exact same place that Curtis passed his teammate Protsyuk earlier on, and Prazan now up into 6th.
Yeah, very interesting that of the two IDX, Prazan was the one who made the move, and Protsyuk was the one who had to be, who was overtaken there. Very interesting.
Indeed so. 6 tenths the gap between the top two. Meanwhile, Kulizak having to fend off from Sturt, who's also got Nicholas Zorbak right behind him now then as they make their way towards the chicane. Zorbak looking to see if he can try and maybe pounce on the inside into the chicane. Bit of contact there. And oh, that was very lucky there that Kulizak didn't lose his rear wing. But Zorbak now trying to take full advantage, trying to go around the outside onto the Coca-Cola curve. The other Campos is there for the taking. Although it was cheeky, that is a very good move from Nicholas Zorbak if he can pull it off, because Sturt is still right there for the taking, but he's got the move done. That's brilliant. That is brilliant there from Nicholas Zorbak up into 8th place. It was a bit cheeky with that bump and run into the chicane, but he made it work, and he's finally up into 8th place.
Yeah, that was a great move from Zorbak indeed. It is a bit cheeky with the contact there. Oh, that set up this car nicely for the run to the final corner, and yeah, then he made the move stick.
Indeed, he's now up into 8th place as the two Camposes now bring up the rear of the top 10. Did it say that somebody else had set the fastest lap there and had taken away from the guys
Curtis.
Curtis has now got the fastest lap, so he does get the bonus point in the moment for the fastest lap, as Kirby just passed Bavona there for P14, I think that was. As meanwhile, it looks like we have a battle for the lead again, because Sazonov has caught back up to the back of Sidonome.
Yeah, indeed. These two are really now fighting once again. Also, one thing... Oh, that was answering my question. Sazonov is fueled lighter than Tsunome by, I would say, almost 3 laps.
Exactly 3 laps, I think. So I would expect Sazonov to pit probably 3 laps before Sidonome. So you would expect maybe Sidonome to have fresher tyres than Sidonome by the time the mandatory pit stops come to an end. As Sazonov tries to line up Sidonome for a pass into the chicane. Oh, contact again between these two, and Sidonome might have gone straight on, I think. Whoa. And well, Sazonov goes through into the lead, but that was a little bit cheeky from the Univirtuosi driver, and I don't think Sidonome will take too kindly to that.
Yeah, indeed, that was even more cheeky than what Zorbak did, and this has some big consequences. Lucky that Tsunome has still all wings and wheels on his car.
Yeah, indeed, but he's now lost the lead to Sazonov, and he might want to try and catch that back up if he can, but he's also got Blackwood behind. Meanwhile, the two high-tech cars are fighting for 5th place. Proxy going to fend off from Prazan there, as Keoshani is still struggling to find a way through on Adam Chobart at the moment, as they all make their way through into the chicane now then. As now we see Prazan, is going to try and go for the move on the inside of his own teammate into the first corner. Down the inside he goes. He's not quite close enough, and Protsuk holds on to 5th place for the moment. And, well, that's that really. Meanwhile, Shani in the slipstream now then of Adam Chobart's going to look to the inside if he can. No, he can't. Has to hang back for the moment. Oh, bit of contact there. But could Kirby take full advantage of that little contact? He's trying to go on the inside, and I think he might have it, you know. In fact, they're still going to go side by side through to turn 2 now. They still side by side, but Kirby's got it dodged. Kirby to 13th place, taking full advantage of that tiny bit of contact there on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, as you see, a lot of cheeky moves, but they're paying off. Now, actually, what's the gap between Sazonov and Sinome at the moment? See,
indeed. Meanwhile, Blackwood and Sinanome, the top 2 in the championship, fighting it out for 2nd place at this stage. Sazonov has just raced away into the distance now. 4.1 seconds is the gap now. Then as they make their way through the up towards the chicane, they will soon go in. It looks like Sazonov might actually set the fast lap. In fact, or is that his personal best that we're looking at there? It might actually be a fastest lap attempt here from the Univirtuosi driver. Let's see. As he now crosses the line, will he grab the bonus point away? And yes, he will. So Sazonov holding on to the bonus point for the moment as the 2 high-techs continue to scrap. Sturt trying to look back at Zorbak into the chicane, but it's not going to work out.
whoa!
He's gone flying over the curb there, and Sturt has got damage as a result. And, well, he's going to have to pit for a new front wing around about 8 laps before his pit stop there. Oh, bit of understeer through to the pit lane now. Thought for a minute he was going to go straight on into the barrier there, but thankfully he didn't. But, yeah, his front wing definitely taking an impact from that little bit of a flying mode through the chicane as he was attacking Zorbat there.
Yeah, but this was very much up in the air. Yeah, unlucky for him. This front wing couldn't survive the impact if he has to bid for a new one. But I don't think actually we'll go to the end.
Yeah, indeed. I think he could be looking at a second stop here, like the guys towards the back end of the field, including this guy, Alexander Arnold, who's now on the inside of Jake Tilsley into the first corner, but he can't make the move stick. Tilsley holding on to the place for the moment. Sturt now in for a new front wing, and 27 laps. In fact, I think he is going to the end. In fact, if you I think that is going to the end. So Sturt, in fact, is at that point where you can maybe pit for 1 stop, so maybe a front wing change might come as a bit of a blessing in disguise. He didn't actually lose a pace before he came into the pit lane there, so he might still be on for points today. Who knows?
And let's see, of course, at the end his tires will be completely gone in comparison to the others, but let's see.
Meanwhile, the battle between the top 2 in the championship continues. There's now Sinanome, who's losing time now to Sazonov. The gap 5.4 seconds. Now still having to fend off from Jafari Blackwood. And so far having to defend him going into the chicane here through the left and right-hander. We go now then. It looks like Blackwood's actually lost a lot of momentum coming out of that chicane. And the Sinanome just creating enough of a gap to stay in front of the Dams driver at this point. As the 2 high-techs still fighting it out for 5th place at the moment. As Kulazek also having to fend off from Zorbak, who after that little excursion there with James Sturt, he's now trying to gain another place.
Yeah, indeed. Now we see some drivers making moves but failing, obviously.
Indeed so, as now we look at Alexander Arnold now then, who's now all over the back of Jake Tilsley now then in the fight for 15th, as now we look at Keo Shani, who's now all over the back of Agatina Bavona, heading their way down towards the first corner. He might actually get the overlap here on the Premier. Let's see, is he now on the inside of the Premier driver into the first corner, late on the brakes, a lock-up for Bavona, and Keo Shani up into 13th position. Is Arnold going to get through on Tilsley here, out of the first corner? He's going to remain side by side, but Tilsley holds on to the place for the moment, and he holds on to 15th place for the time being.
Yep, indeed. It's now Luka Tasnov who is extending his gap at the top at the moment, which at the moment is looking quite good for Tasnov, to be honest.
It is indeed, as meanwhile Zorbak putting Kulazek under a lot of pressure in their fight for 7th place. And of course, let's not forget, some of these F2 drivers are linked with potential top class drives for next season. I'm talking about the likes of Blackwood, Sinanome, Curtis, even Zorbak as well. So and even Keo Shani as well is linked with a few drives as well. So for a lot of these guys in these remaining few races, it's their time to impress, really.
Yep, that is true. Now we see the 2 high-techs fighting now Zorbak. Speaking of him,
Yep, he's trying to have a go at Kulizek. He's also, if you can see in the background, Broster is also catching up to this fight for 7th place that's going on. Coming out of the chicane now, then we go, as now Zorbak very close to the back of the Prema now then, as they make their way through into the Coca-Cola curve. Now Prazan's got to run on Protsu, meanwhile, in their fight for 5th position. Now then, Prazan, has he got enough momentum to get by on his teammate? He might have the overlap here, because look at the straight line speed that Prazan's got into the first corner. Break later on the brakes, and Prazan finally passes his teammate, and he's up into 5th position. Can Zorbak do the same here on Kulizek? Tiny inside, and he most certainly can. Zorbak up into 7th place, and the German fans will go ballistic with that one.
Yep, they will be cheering Zorbak on, but they will not cheer Andreoli on, maybe, but he stays behind Arnold.
Yep, indeed, as they now make their way through the left-hander. Arnold still struggling to find a way through on Tosley. It's allowed Andreoli to catch up as well. Of course, he had to pit for damage on the first lap as well, did the Frenchman. So again, more bad luck for Santino Andreoli, who it's safe to say has had his Formula 2 seasons have been compared to like Teo Porcher's look from real life. But yeah, that's pretty much that really. Now we go around the hairpin now then. Broster trying to put Kulizek under pressure now that Zorbak is starting to pull away from the Prema driver, as Blackwood is still stuck behind Sinanome, which you can see at the bottom there. The gap 5.8 seconds between the top two, but 4 attempts between Sinanome and Broster. Tried to have a look there. I don't know if my Discord just cut out there, but he tried to have a go at the left-hander, but he didn't work out there. As now we go down the hill. Can Broster get through on Kulizek here? No, he won't. It's a little bit risky to go for that anyway, and he has to hang back as a result.
Yep, of course, at that place, that was not overtaking spot, to be honest, but here, maybe with better exit, no, Broster will have a shot at the main straight, but look how close he's getting already.
Yeah, indeed, he's going to try and have a go on the inside if he can. Has he got enough of an overlap on Kulizek to try and get the move done as they go side by side down towards the first corner? Look how much speed he has compared to the Prema. Clearly, Kulizek's car a little bit draggy down the straight, but I think Kulizek's just going to do enough to hold on for the moment. Oh, contact between Kirby and Chobot there, but luckily nothing major there, and no major damage between the pair of them at the moment. But Keoshani is caught up as a result. Andreoli is actually coming in at the end of this lap, so I think we're now at the mandatory pit stop stage.
Yep, indeed, there we had actually quite a lot of records. As for Prazan, there's
none of the top 4 actually pitting this lap, so it seems that out of the guys in the top 10, it only seems to be Prazan. I think the rest may be actually outside of the top 10 at the present moment. As we look at Broster, he's still putting pressure on Kulizek. Meanwhile, Kirby is coming into the pit, same with Keoshane, so looks like there could be a pit stop battle going on there. Prazan, as mentioned, is coming in at the end of this lap, as meanwhile Sazonov has now opened up the gap to 6.7 seconds. In fact, now Sinanome has now actually got the gap between himself and Blackwood to 1.5 seconds, and now Sinanome, you could say, is now starting to open up the taps a little bit in the VAR car. Their teammates will be coming in at the end of this lap, of course. Sazonov not pitting just yet. Looks like he's going to be staying out for at least another lap, as now Prazan comes into the pits for High Tech Grand Prix.
Yep, in he comes on the pit road. Well, hitting the pit limiter. Yeah, of course, he will have the first pit box.
Well, indeed, and let's see how quick this stop is going to be then from the high-tech mechanics. 23 laps, of course, he is going to the end of the race, of course, because it is obviously only one pit stop he made. But he might have to wait here for a bit of traffic if he can. No, he doesn't. Thankfully, he gets out just before Kirby and Keoshani make their way into the pit lane there. So Prazan will have no hold ups there, as I think Fonchanek here might actually have gouge advantage here over Kirby, so he might actually get the jump on him in the pits here. Meanwhile, Prazan rejoins in 15th, just in front of Tobias Crest there, as his teammate Proxiuk will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap, as Fonchanek Kirshani did actually jump Kirby in the pits, so he's now actually gained a place thanks to that gouge advantage.
Yep, indeed. That was a good stop from the Josie mechanics. Now we have more pit calls for Proxiuk and Zorbak, and also for Arnold.
Indeed, as meanwhile, you just see just behind, in fact, these two, Curtis is also slowly closing in on Sinanome and Blackwood here, so he could fancy his chance at a podium here today. An amazing comeback from 15th on the grid, if he can make that happen. You're feeling a bit tired there, Dennis, because that came through the mic. Now we look at Zorbak, who's pitting the end of this lap, and so is Proxiuk, so we're going to have a pit stop battle here, I think, between Proxiuk and Zorbak in the pits.
Yep. But actually, it will be interesting to see who has garage advantage of these two. I think.
They're both
Wait,
now into the pits.
that's
They're now both
clearly
going.
for Protsuk.
Protsuk into the pits now. Then, of course, he pitted a lap after Prazan, of course. As now, let's see. As now the high-tech comes into the pit lane now then. And yep, he will have garage advantage. He's got the first garage, as you can see, for high-tech. And a little bit further down is the Carling garage for Nicholas Zorbach. So I don't think Zorbach is going to jump Protsuk as a result, unless Protsuk has a delay, which he doesn't. 7.4 seconds to pit stop for the high-tech driver. As we look on the right-hand side, there is Zorbach. He's having to wait. It's roughly the same sort of pit stop, but Zorbach not able to get the jump. So it looks like he's going to have to get Protsuk on the track again.
Yep, actually the stop from Protsuk was 3/10 faster.
It was still sort of similar. It was still sort of similar anyway. But anyway, as now Suto's coming into the pits at the end of this lap, so he's not really made any progress after he and his teammate caused each other's collision at the chicane a little bit earlier on. Speaking of Arnold, he's just made his final stop, and that's him, as we know that Suto's coming in. Meanwhile, I just saw that Curtis is actually close behind Jafari Blackwood, so he's actually gaining quite a lot. His teammate Chobot will be coming in at the end of this lap as they now make their way into the chicane. But Curtis can definitely sense a podium here today, Dennis.
Yep, he is definitely has a shot at the podium here, but of course he has to beat either one of these two guys, maybe both, but you have to wait and see. So Curtis will come in.
Yes, he will indeed, and of course Curtis needs to really have a good result here today because the last two races have not gone according to plan. Sazonov is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Ignore that red light, that just means he's low on fuel. But Sazonov is coming into the pits at the end of this lap for Univirtuosi Racing, and so that's that race. So the race leader will be coming in at the end of this lap. Suto, of course, coming in. Of course, there's a few more pit calls as well. It's not just Curtis that's pitting, but I think also Blackwood is coming in at the end of this lap. So a pit stop battle between those two as Chobot now comes into the pits for Trident now then. As now we look at Suto, who's all over the back of Kirishani, who's already pitted in fact, so that's a little bit strange that he's still able to battle with the Univirtuosi there, despite the fact that Kirishani's already pitted. Chobot finishes his pit stop now then, and where is he going to emerge then after this pit stop now then? He's going to emerge, I think, in 15th, is it, or 16th, because Kres is not too far behind. It's going to be 15th for the Slovakian driver, so he's P15 on the road. But as I mentioned, Curtis needs to have a good result today because, of course, the last two races haven't gone according to plan because he has been suffering from quite a lot of bad luck as the 2020 GP2 champion.
Yep, actually yes, indeed. Of course, last time out, it was that unfortunate collision with Slovak, I think. Oh, but yeah.
And I think he also had a bit of an incident also at Austria as well, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Sazonov is in, and I was wrong. Blackwood is not coming in, so I clearly read that one incorrectly. But Curtis is coming into the pits now then for Trident, and Sazonov is in for his mandatory pit stop in this race. As there is Curtis. Will he have to wait for Curtis to go by? I think he might have to, you know. And no, in fact, perfect timing there. Sazonov does not get held up by the Trident whatsoever, as Broster was the one that I read incorrectly there. He's into the pits for Campos, as Curtis is now being served by Trident there, as Sazonov will be joining third place, as Broster now into the pits. Curtis finishes his pit stop now then, and I think he might emerge in 5th place, and he will emerge in 5th, as he now comes out of the pits. Bavona now into the pits, so a few pit calls actually now on this occasion, as Zorbach has still not been able to find a way past Proxiuk at the moment. Broster into the pits, meanwhile, for Campos, and 8.4 seconds to stop, and I think he will actually get ahead of both Proxiuk and Zorbach as a result. Bavona finishes his pit stop for Prema, as his teammate... Oh dear, Prema, what have you done here? Oh dear, what have you done here, Prema? Clearly a miscommunication, and, well, no wonder it's their final season, especially with mistakes like this.
Yeah, but at the same...
in fact, no,
that's damage.
That's damage, but also if you look at his fuel, he was meant to pit anyway. So, yeah, he's got damage somewhere on the racetrack. I think he was actually meant to pit this lap regardless, though. And, well, how's he got damage here, then?
Yeah,
Actually had damage for quite a while, in fact, unless... is it a graphic issue? No, he actually got it in the final corner. Let's have a look. It was a driver error from Wojtek Kulacek here.
Oh, that was at the worst places of all, while it's running in the points. Still, but yeah, that's his race. Completely ruined.
Yep, indeed,
Yeah.
and well, it also at the worst places of well, Dennis, because it happened right after the pit lane entrance. So he's had to do an entire lap without a pit stop, and then just to add insult to injury, his teammate Bavona was coming in that lap, so he's going to have to wait for his mechanics to come back out on track, or are they in the pit lane? Because we did pause there as a result, and it looks like they're not coming out. As a result of that, I think we should have probably waited for the pit stops to happen there, but we've got a battle emerging between Synonym and and Blackwood there, but I think there's a problem there with the pit stop for Kulizak, as meanwhile, because the mechanics are not coming out, so it looks like we're going to have to do that little thing there to try and fix it, because unlike Yuri for some reason, which doesn't work for him, this does actually work for Floey, and I don't know why their GP4s work so differently to each other, but there we are. So bear with, guys, as we look to fix this little pit stop issue here with Wojtek Kulizak, and then of course we'll get back to that battle that's going on between Synonym and Blackwood, who, if I'm not mistaken, just before we had that, I think Blackwood was coming into the pits at the end of that lap.
Yep, of course. Actually, it's quite interesting that they both actually were in the pits at the same lap, but in the end, it was lucky for Bivona that he passed Kulazek on track.
Yep, indeed, as the loading screen is taking its age, as it's moving quite slowly across the screen at the moment, so do bear with. As for some reason it's just loading quite slowly at the moment. It's like it's going in slow motion at the moment, but yeah, just bear with for the moment as we get back to racing action. Hopefully it speeds up in just a little bit. But yeah, I don't know if Synonym was also meant to pit that lap, but we did see just before we had to click off there that Blackwell was actually trying to go for the move on Synonym into the first corner there. So it could make for things quite interesting there into that first corner. But yeah, that's pretty much that then, really. As no, I am not going to say that, Ionescu. You can say that when you're back in the commentary box. I'm not going to say it.
Neither will I.
Yeah, nice try though. But yeah, this loading screen is taking ages for some reason. For some reason, it's going.
It's moving only by a little bit.
Yeah, for some reason.
What game?
Come on, game. Do your work. We want to get back to the action. But yeah, for some reason, it's running quite slowly here. For some reason, it's going in a bit of slow-mo at the moment. But yeah, it's oh, it had a little bit of a jump there, but it's now right at the middle, so it might take a little bit here because it likes to do that when it's right at the middle. But there we go. Now it's starting to speed up now. Just try and get to the end now. There we go, and there we go. So, in fact, oh, hang on. Have we? No, it hasn't done that. It's gone back a little bit too early there. So, I don't know if we need to go back a further lap just to get that fixed, because that's a bit too much there. I don't know why we've clicked off that. I don't know why we've clicked off the game there, because I'm pretty sure it shaves 2 saves there. One for one lap and another for the previous one. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's that really. So I don't know what's happened there, but yeah, that's that really. Is there any information to give Flo, or yeah? Oh, okay, fair enough. Right, well, we'll just wait for the game to reset itself there, and then go back to the lap before that whole thing triggered off with Wojtek Kulizak there. So, yeah, that's that really. As we now wait for the game to come back on. And here we go. So the game has come back on. And right, let's see now. As the loading screen is now a lot quicker now. Yay. So,
yay.
So we haven't got Macau loading screens, as Rob has put it in the stream chat. So anyway, so this should be the lap before this all kicked off then, and it is, because we're now back with Sazonov and Curtis in the pits. So that's that really. As there is Kulizak meanwhile, as we wait for Sazonov and Curtis to finish off their pit stop now then. As Curtis goes through, there's Sazonov. He's just finished his pit stop. As of course, we'll obviously wait for that thing with the Premiers to see if it has fixed that problem, and then hopefully we'll get back to that fight between Blackwood and Synonym in time. So anyway, back to lap 18 we go. Broster in the pits. Then obviously Curtis came in. He's just finished his pit stop, and of course looking to try and get podium today is Aaron Curtis. Broster in for his pit stop in the Campos. I think Bavona should be in. Yep, Bavona in the pitch, so that should be normal. And then obviously, hopefully, it then triggers, hopefully, because we're not going on to a replay, it should hopefully trigger the mechanics to do the right thing when Kulizek comes in, who I think is now in pit lane. So let's see if the mechanics do the right thing here. So obviously they're going to go away, but hopefully they should come back this time. Otherwise, if not, I think we're just going to have to leave it as it is, as we wait to see if they do make a return or not. And the answer to that is, it looks like no.
Doesn't look like it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the Premier mechanics have gone on strike there. So I think, luckily, because Bavona has made his pit stop, I think we're going to have to leave Kulizek there, I'm afraid. But I think he was out of the points anyway when that whole shenanigan happened. So I'm afraid Kulizek is going to have to stay there, I'm afraid. So luckily, Bavona has made his pit stop, so he's not going to get affected. But yeah, I guess that just adds more, really, to the whole thing of why Premier are pulling out at the end of the season. But anyway, back to this fight we've seen, because Blackwood now then is on the inside of Henderson. Then Blackwood is coming in at the end of this lap as he now makes his way down towards the first corner now then, but he's not close enough to make the move, so he has to hang back. Synonym is going to stay out for at least one more lap, but we are expecting Sazonov to retake the lead once he makes his pit stop. Tilsley will be coming in for Carlin at the end of this lap as they now make their way through the chicane now then on the racetrack, as now we can see that Tilsley now then is making his way in pit lane. As Sereznia now in for Dams at the moment. Of course, I think Dams trying to go for a double points finish here today, but we shall see where Kai ends up after this pit stop. A fresh set of tyres, 19 laps worth of fuel, as now Tilsley also in for Carlin. I wonder if Sereznia is going to have to wait, which he doesn't, so that's that, as there is Kulizek, I think we're going to list as retired as a result of that. But yeah, Sereznia is going to rejoin. Is he going to rejoin in 7th place? I'm not sure, as Tilsley finishes off his pit stop. He is side by side with Bruce. No, that Zorbach has just passed Broster there, so Zorbach is up into 7th place. So Resnia rejoins just in the points in 10th position, but Zorbach is up into 7th place.
Yep, Zorbach is putting quite a good race here. Into, of course, it's also his second home race. Yeah, he's putting on a good show.
Of course, for the German drivers, it's their second home race, of course, because obviously raced at Hockenheim earlier on in the season for their German Grand Prix, and here we're at the Nürburgring for their European Grand Prix, which of course that Grand Prix name will make a return next season in the top class, because Aragon will be hosting it. Blackwood is now into the pits for Dams, as Synonym will be pitting at the end of this lap, as Blackwood now in. And let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for Jafari Blackwood. I should expect Sazonov to go cruising by pretty soon. As now, let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for the Jamaican driver. A fresh set of tyres and fuel going into the car. As now, we wait now. Then Sazonov goes through as expected, and Blackwood is going to emerge. Is he going to emerge ahead of Curtis, though? Because let's not forget, Curtis has already made his pit stop. He's coming down the pit straight now, but I think Blackwood, is he going to do enough? It's going to be quite close. He's only just now building up the speed. Curtis is somewhere around here, and he's side by side, and Curtis has gone through. Curtis has jumped Blackwood, and he's onto the podium.
Yeah, that shows that the undercut is the stronger strategy around here. Of course, that is a big relief for Curtis, because he doesn't have to fight him on track.
Indeed, as he now look at that is a Sturt getting the slipstream off one of the high techs. Potsy trying to go around the outside of Sereznia into the first corner. Can he pull the move off? No, he can't. Sereznia holds on to the places now. Adam Chobot has caught up to this fight for 9th place. That is going on. Meanwhile, Arnold trying to have a look to the inside of Jake Telsley later on the brakes. Has he pulled the move off? I think he has, you know. As he's getting a little bit of twitchy of oversteer lock up. He's got the move done. That's a brilliant move there for Alexander Arnold to get up into 17th place. As Synonym will now be pitting at the end of this lap. So I would imagine he's going to hand the lead back to Andrei Sazonov. But we shall see as he now comes into the pits. But the question is, we know that Curtis jumped Blackwood in the pits. Can he do the same with Hento Synonym? Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. It will be very close. I predict that already. Let's see if VAR cannot put out a master stroke of a pit stop. Let's see.
Indeed, so let's see then. The VOR mechanics get to work on Synonyme's car. Fresh set tyres and fuel to take him to the end of the race now then. And it is a 6.9 second stop. Good stop. Sazonov now retakes the lead. But where is Curtis on the racetrack? He's just come out the final corner. The Coca-Cola curd followed by Blackwood. But I think Synonyme's going to do enough to stay in second place. So, yep, Synonyme stays in second place. Curtis didn't do enough to gain another place there. So it's only one place that Curtis has gained after the pit stops.
Yep, but one place is better than no place gained. So yeah, that's very good for Curtis and also for Sinome because he would extend his lead over Blackwood by 3 further points.
Would indeed, and still curious as to who's got the bonus point. I think it's still Sazonov if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong on that one. As De Oliveira just finished off his pit stop there as a few cars go through, and yep, Sazonov still holds on to the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race at the moment, as De Oliveira is 15th. He rejoins after that pit stop. As now we look at Sazonov, he's got a 9.9 second lead over Hento Synonyme, as he's got both Curtis and Blackwell not too far behind him further down the road. They're only just coming around the Schumacher S, as you can see on the mini-map on the right-hand side there. But I think now everybody has finished off their mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, I think it's like that indeed. And yeah, Sazonov I think this would be his first win in F2, right?
I will quickly double check that, but I think you might be correct. As I think this is his first season in Formula 2, of course, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
I think it would be. Yeah, yes, it would be his first win in Formula 2 if it were to stay like this. But still, we've still got 13 laps to go, as he's just obviously started that. Anything could still happen in these remaining 13 laps. You never know, of course.
Yep, you never know. Indeed, the gap is 10.4 between the top two.
Is indeed, as meanwhile Keoshani's still trying to attack Chobot into the chicane. They're going to try and flick it to the inside. He's got enough momentum to try and go for the move, but last minute thinks better of it and has to back out of that one there. Luckily, his car didn't get flown in the air there by that massive sausage curve that's on the inside of the track at that chicane there. So, yeah, that's that. Meanwhile, Sturt now looking to the inside of Kai Sereznia now then. Is he going to gain a place off the Polish driver here? Side by side, down towards turn 1. Can Sturt get later on the brakes at the first corner? No, he can't. Sereznia holds on to the place for the moment, and so far Sereznia holds on to P9 at this stage.
Yep, indeed. For him, it would be some good point. Wait.
Oh, hang on,
something happened in turn 1 between, I think,
Kirby.
Is it Kirby? It's Kirby and Bivona.
Bivona, because I can't see him, but it looks like Bivona's down in 19th, so I think Bivona and Kirby have had an accident down at the first corner. I think I just about saw the Premier there on the onboard camera of Suto there, so we've got 2 retirements down at turn 1, and we are down to, 18 runners, of course, if you count Kulizak, and yep, you can see Bivona just there, and what on earth happened here?
Yeah, I think Kirby just tried to make the move, and yeah, he got it, yeah, that's how the crash happened.
Went on all 2 wheels on in the first corner, and it veered him into the side of Bivona as a result, and it's taken the pair of them out of the race. So both Premiers are now out of the race, and on the week where it was confirmed that they'll be pulling out of F2 at the end of the season, it's not really been the race today for them.
Yeah, unfortunately not, after the announcement that they will leave, and of course will be replaced by Tony GP. So, yeah, not good for Prema, unfortunately.
Yep, indeed. As now we look at James Sturt, who's still all over the back of Chrysler Racing. Of course, there are yellow flags down at turn 1 whilst they clear both Bivona and Kirby's car there, so you can't overtake it to the first corner, otherwise you risk a 5-second time penalty for that. As now we look at James Sturt, who's lost a bit of momentum to Kai Sereznia to go around the Coca-Cola curve and not close enough to go for the move, although he can't really go for the move there, otherwise he'd risk a penalty. As now Bivona's car is going to get hoisted over the barriers there, and now the guns have been lifted, so you're now free to overtake into the first corner, just as Keoshani is all over the back of Chobot here, but Chobot is going to hold on to the place, and that's a very brave Marshall at the entrance to turn 1, as Arnold now on the inside of Andrioli into the first corner. Can he pull the move off? So they go side by side at the exit, but Andrioli is going to hold on to 14th for the moment now then. So Andrioli currently holding on to P14 at the moment, as really the guys with damage haven't really recovered too much in this race.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I think actually Arnold has I would say, made the most progression through the field, but also not much.
I would also say the same with Andrioli as well, because he got damage on lap 1 as well, and he's up
Oh
into
yeah,
4th.
of course.
But yeah, I don't think the pair of them it's not really something to write home about because they're both outside the point. As Synonom's got a 2-second gap, but he's continuing to lose time to Sazonov, who just continues to pull away out in front at the moment. As Curtis has got a 1-second advantage over Aaron Curtis. Meanwhile, we could see that Serezny is still having to fend off from that would be in fact no, Sturt has gained quite a lot in fact, hasn't he, because he got damage and he's already back into the point. So in fact somebody has made
yeah,
a good recovery from the damage and he's into the point, so he's doing a good job and still trying to gain a place off of Serezny here. Meantime, in the background we can see that Keo Shane is still trying to put pressure onto Adam Chobot. You've also got Bernardo de Oliveira to deal with. Arnold, a bit of contact between him and Andrioli there, but luckily nothing major there, but it will allow Tilsley to catch up to the pair of them as a result. But yeah, not exactly ideal for those two.
Yep, they were lucky that they kept it without damage, but also speaking about Sturt, he of course got damage, but he was the one who got the one stop, of course.
Was indeed, as he nearly lost a place there to Adam Chobot as he was trying to find a way through into the first corner. So now it's become a 5-way scrap for 9th place. And Serezny is holding up Sturt, Chobot, Keoshani, and of course De Oliveira as well, as they're all scrapping on the bottom reaches of the point at this stage as they come out of the right-hander there. They're not that too far behind Protsuk either, so who knows, maybe they could catch up to him before the end of the race. Meanwhile, Sazonov looking very lonely out in front as he'll cross the line to have 10 laps to go. When he crosses the line, he'll start lap 25 or 34 very soon as he comes out of the Coca-Cola curve and making his way onto the pit straight to start lap 25 of the race. As looks like 2nd, 3rd and 4th have also started to settle down a little bit now then and trying to get themselves to the end of the race. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Meanwhile, Sturt all over the back of Kai Serezny now then as they make their way through into the left hand. It looks like Serezny, in fact, got a twitch of oversteer through into that part of the track. And, well, clearly Serezny are feeling the pressure a bit here from Sturt.
Yep, indeed. As in the meantime, De Oliveira passed South China. But Serezny can defend, yes.
Yes, indeed, as I think Dennis twisted his words a little bit there.
Yeah,
but,
indeed.
Now we look at Synonym now. He's got a 1.7 second cushion over Aaron Curtis behind. As now we look at De Oliveira, who's now attacking Chobot into the first corner. Can he get P11? Unseen by the cameras, he's actually overtaken Keoshani. But meanwhile, Sturt on the inside of Serezny. Can he pull the move off into the first corner? Oh, bit of contact there.
Whoa.
But he's pulled the move off and he's up into 9th position. Luckily, that didn't end the same way as it did with Kirby and Pavona earlier on.
Yes, very lucky, but also very opportunistic move from Sturt, and it paid off.
It did indeed, as there's Suto, who's not really recovered. He's down in 18th, and he has a lock-up, in fact, into that first corner there. So clearly struggling with the car at that point and not really recovering after he and Arnold decided to come together at that part of the track. But, yeah, that's pretty much that, really, as they now make their way through the right-hander there, as now coming out of the turn. We'll go Suto as we look at Curtis again, who's 1.5 seconds behind Synonym. Look at the gap that Sazonov has got. He's got exactly 13 seconds to Synonym. And, well, he's just continuing to pull away on him front, despite the fact that Synonym has got much fresher tyres than him. It's not really phasing Sazonov at that point. Chobot, meanwhile, trying to get back at De Oliveira, who, unseen by the cameras, has actually overtaken him for 11th place. So De Oliveira is now 1 place away from the point. And he's now trying to get it from Serezny in front after he just got overtaken by Jay Sturt a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, De Oliveira is also on a good pace at the present moment, but it seems like Curtis is maybe catching up to the back of Sin over here.
At 1.3 seconds the gap, he is now 1.1, so Curtis maybe starting to open up the taps, and maybe he can sense maybe one more position before the end of the race. Meanwhile, Keoshani trying to get Chobot back into turn 1 here. Can the tie driver get the move done? As meanwhile, we can see that Serezny going a bit defensive on De Oliveira there, but Keoshani on the inside of Chobot there, but Chobot holds on to P12 for the moment. Andrioli is also catching up as well, and Arnold's not too far behind either from this lot as well, as they now make their way through turn 2 on the racetrack, as in fact he might try and go into turn 3 there, but thought better of it, didn't try and pull a dive bomb into that part of the track there as they go through the right-hander on the racetrack. As now we see De Oliveira still putting Seresny under a bit of pressure in front, and their fight for the final points place at this stage. As now through the right-hander we go now then on the racetrack, as we can see, in fact, De Oliveira trying to attack Seresnia into the hairpin. Can he get the final points place? No, he can't. Seresnia holds on to P10 at the moment, and Seresnia doing all he can to hold on and ensure it's a double points finish for Damstay. Meanwhile, it's only 4 attempts between Curtis and Syndano. Now Curtis has got a good run here on the championship leader down towards the first corner, but he hasn't got enough momentum to try and get him on the straight. Looks like Syndano has got enough on the straight to keep Curtis behind for the moment, but Curtis is now right with the championship leader, and the fight for second place is on.
Yeah, the fight for second is really on. These two are now absolutely having a good fight. So I think it was Proto going a bit hard over the curves. There's contact. Oh, there's debris. Oh, both have damage.
They clipped the curb, and well, the curb bit back at them, and well, a chance of a double point has gone for Dams. A chance for points for De Oliveira has gone as well. They're both going to have to pit for a new front win. That has put Chobot now into the points, but he might lose it because Keoshane is still attacking him down into the first corner, as you can see on the left-hand side there. As well, that's pretty much that really is. They're both into the pits now for a new front wing. As did Keoshane get P10 into the first corner? I'm not sure, as they're now having their front wings changed now then, as well, there's Kulazek still in the pit lane, as you can see. It's,
yeah, for 15.5 minutes.
Yeah, and De Oliveira is going to have to wait for Seresny to go through, but Seresny is not going to be too happy with that bit of contact that De Oliveira made to him there. But Chobot still held on to P10 there, and they're actually nearly a lap down because Sazonov is not too far away from them either. Meanwhile, Blackwood is now caught up, back up to Curtis and Synonym as they come out of the chicane now then, as they now make the way towards the Coca-Cola curve now then, through the right-hander. It's Curtis going to once again try and have a go at the Japanese driver. No, he's not, because Synonym had a good exit out of Coca-Cola there, but it looks like no movements here in the fight for second and third position now. As they make their way down towards the first corner now then on the racetrack, and now down towards turn one we go now then, as he uses a lot of tarmac on the outside, as now Blackwood, in fact, could actually get Curtis in a little bit if the Irishman is not careful.
Yep, I would say it's now a three-way fight for second place here. It's now, I think, Sinome has got some gap once more. Let's see if he can hold this, or if Proto can close up once again.
We shall see as they now make their way down towards the Dunlop curve now then, as they're too far back to get Synonym at this point in time. Blackwood now then, as in fact Blackwood's going to try and get a run on Curtis up towards the Schumacher S now. Then he will go through into the left and right-hander, and will Blackwood maybe try and get a run out of the Schumacher S on Curtis here. He's going to try and look to the outside, but thinks better of it, so he hangs back for the moment now then, through into the left and right-hander. We will go now then, as Sazonov continues to lead by 13.6 seconds out in front now then, as Blackwood now all over the back of Aaron Curtis through into the right-hander. Is Blackwood going to try and have a go at him at the chicane, as he's going to try and think about a run into that corner, as always getting very close into that part of the track, as he bumped the curve there, but thankfully no damage for Blackwood there, and Curtis holds on to third place for the moment.
Yep, there was actually quite a lucky escape for Blackwood to escape without front wing damage. You know, he can still chase after those two for second.
Indeed, as they now make their way down towards the first corner now then, as now thanks to that little hop of the curb there that Blackwood had, he's now 1.5 seconds behind Aaron Curtis, as Curtis is now under a second behind Synonym meanwhile, as they now make their way out of the first few turns on the racetrack, flicking it in through the left and then into the right-hander. We will now go, as we have 6 laps to go here at the Nürburgring, including this lap, or 5.5 laps, I think, in the case of Sazonov, because I think he's just coming around out of the Dunlop hairpin there, we can see on the mini-map on the right-hand side. So, yeah, that's that. As meanwhile, it looks like Blackwood is continuing to fall back now, because Curtis is now starting to close back in onto Hento Synonym in front now then, as it looks like their fight for second place could continue now then, as meanwhile towards the back end of the field, De Oliveira and Seresny are still fighting it out amongst themselves after their contact they had a little bit earlier on, as they now make their way towards the left-hander now then, so flicking it in through the left, then into the right now then we will go. The gap 1.2 seconds between the pair. Curtis not close enough to get Synonym for the moment now then, as they now make their way towards the flat-out right-hander now then, as they now make their way towards the left-right chicane. So Sturt, meanwhile, only 6 tenths behind Ruslan Protsiuk, as it's 5 laps to go now for race leader Andrei Sazonov, as now coming out of the chicane, now making his way towards the final corner now then. We will go, as Curtis not close enough to get Sinanome for the moment. I nearly got Sinanome and Sazonov mixed up there. Yeah, still going to hang back for the moment, but still wanted to put the championship leader under a bit of pressure, as he's still got 5 laps in which to try and get second place over the Japanese driver.
Yep, 5 long laps for Sinome indeed. Curtis will definitely push like madman. Sturt is trying to send it for 8, but not here.
Well, Shani's still stuck behind Chobot. He's been stuck behind him for quite a while, and still been unable to get that final points place off him, as Andrioli and Arnold also out of line. Meanwhile, Sturt has got a run here on Ruslan Protsiuk down towards the first corner now. Has he got the run to get the move done on the high-tech driver side by side down towards the first corner? Has he got the move done on Protsiuk? No, he hasn't. Protsiuk holds on to P8 for the moment, and Sturt once again stuck behind high-tech at this stage of the race, as meanwhile we're back now with a battle for second, because I think Sinanome is under pressure from Curtis. He is, as now through into the left and right-hander we go now then on the racetrack, as Sinanome goes defensive into that left-hander there. Curtis trying to put Sinanome under a lot of pressure here as they now make their way through in towards the right-hander. Curtis doing all he can to get second place off of the championship leader here, as now going flat towards the right-hander. We will go now then as they go around this long swooping right-hander, heading in towards the chicane now then. Sinanome goes defensive. Curtis thought about a move before better of it. I think it said that Sazonov set another fastest lap, didn't it, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong on that. As meanwhile, Curtis tried to have a look at Sinanome into the Coca-Cola curve. I don't know why you try and even do that in the first place. It's not an easy way to pass, but he's now going to get a run down towards the first corner now. And they can the 2020 GP2 time champion get by on the current F2 championship leader now then, as again it looks like Sinanome's just got the car sat up better on the straight compared to Curtis, and Curtis just doesn't have an answer.
Yep, that's a superior straight line speed from Sinome is keeping him in front. But you look at this Prazan and race gained 15 places. That's insane.
Pretty good going for him. 12 places for Curtis, 12 places for Protsiuk, 4 places for Sazonov, 1 place lost for Sinanome, 2 places lost for Blackwood, 8 for Zorbak, 4 for Protsiuk, 4 for Sturt, and 7 for Chobot in the end from the top 10, as we could say. So a lot of places gained, the most of course being Aji Pradhan. A great drive from the Indonesian driver here today, currently in 5th place. I don't think Zorbak is anywhere near him. I could be wrong on that. He's up in 6th position, but Zorbak will still get some points at the moment, and yeah, he's way too far behind the Indonesian. I think he'll just settle for that, as meanwhile De Oliveira once again trying to attack Ceresny into the chicane, but again it doesn't work out. Clearly these two won't leave each other alone at the moment, but the fight for second is still on, because Curtis is still putting Sinanome under a lot of pressure here, as now through into the right-hander goes the Irishman as he tries to get a run on Sinanome. He tries to look to the inside into the right-hander, but Sinanome, all he's going to do is just basically chop across him there and hold on to the place for the moment. 3 laps to go for Andrei Sazonov at the moment, as he now make their way into the left-right chicane. Now then we go through the left, through the right, as we've got a yellow flag at the turn one. There is a yellow flag, and that is De Oliveira.
Sazonov, damn it! Oh no, I was about to say.
No pit indicator,
Luckily.
no pit indicator for him. But is it just De Oliveira? I think it's just De Oliveira down there. Was that because of Kai Ceresnia? I'm not sure. Because those two were fighting. It's like, oh, Curtis, you can't overtake down there, because otherwise you'll get a penalty. You're going to have to wait. Thankfully, he doesn't overtake, but he could have risked himself a penalty there if he was not careful. But yeah. That's that really. Now, was this because of Kai Ceresnia, or was this all on his own? Let's have a look.
Yeah, he's attacking Ceresnia here.
I think he was a bit ambitious there, I think it's fair to say.
And Ceresnia once again has damage.
Yep, so these two really are not giving each other any Christmas cards by the time December comes around, I think it's fair to say, because of that. I think Dennis has got a knock on the door there. I think I just heard that on the microphone. But yeah, Sazonov, very lucky he did not get any damage from this collision into the first corner. Dennis honestly thought for a moment that he got damaged there, but he is very, very lucky there, is Sazonov, for not getting any damage.
Yes, so lucky. Because of that front wing. I thought that was from Sazonov, but luckily not. So, yeah.
Yes, and now we can see that Cress is going through into the chicane now, as we now look at Andrioli. Meanwhile, Sturt, the yellow flags are out, so you can't go for an overtake down into that first corner, otherwise you'll risk yourself a 5-second time penalty, or not, because the yellows have been lifted just at the right time there, but Sturt not fully committed to go for the move on proxy. Because Chobar doing all he can to hang on to 10th place and maybe try and get a double points finish for Trident today. So Resnier trying to make his way back into the pits. His race has been a complete disaster as Curtis is still trying to put Synonym under pressure in their fight for second place. They've only got 2 and a bit laps to go in this race. Synonym doing all he can to hang on from the Irishman. Blackwood not too far behind either. He could be there to capitalise if anything happens with these two now. Then as Curtis looks to the inside again, he doesn't seem like he's learnt from the last time. He's not going to get enough momentum. He will try again to the first corner because this time at least the yellow flags have been lifted, so Curtis can actually have a go into turn 1 and actually make the move successful if he can. But of course, we talked about the straight line speed that he's got in that car. It's just not enough to get a hold of Synonym at this stage, and he loses all the traction in the world, and Synonyms just going to have enough of a gap to stay in front of him down into the first corner.
Yep, indeed. So Sturt is still trying to make the overtake here, but
tried to still stuck behind Protsuk, and again it's chopped off as Broster now sets the fastest lap of the race. Is he outside the top 10? I think he is.
No, he's not.
Or... He's not, so in fact he is. That is legit at the moment. So if things were to stay like that, Broster would actually get the bonus point. He's actually snatched that away from race leader Andrei Stasnov. Oh, bit of contact there between Tilsley and Crest, but luckily no damage between the pair of them there through into that chicane there. Meanwhile, Sturt once again trying to have a go at Proxy into the first corner, but again just doesn't have the straight line speed compared to the high tech as they now make their way into the first corner there. Well, that's that. Meanwhile, Arnold on the inside of this is Andrioli. Is he finally going to get by him here into the first corner? But it looks like Andrioli again smart enough to keep hold of the place, and he holds on to 12th place for the time being. And Sazonov is soon going to be starting the final lap. Curtis has dropped back from Synonym because it looks like Curtis is actually under pressure now from Jafari Blackwood here.
Yeah, indeed. So the fight for the final podium spot isn't over yet. Let's see if Blackwood can make the move.
Final lap for Andrei Sazonov as Curtis goes defensive into that chicane. Blackwood thought about a move but thinks better of it. Curtis holding on to third for the moment and losing all the momentum in the world. And I don't think as a result, unless depending on the traction through into the Coca-Cola curve, I don't think Blackwood is going to have a go at Curtis. And meanwhile, Sturt is still stuck all over Proxy. But as mentioned, Andrei Sazonov is on the final lap here at the Nürburgring. It's just been a brilliant race for him. He did cheekily get by Synonym early on. Hold that phone because Blackwood is on the inside of Curtis. Is he going to snatch the podium away from the Irishman? Down the inside he goes, and he is. Blackwood up into third place, and Curtis, the podium is gone for him. And, well, unless he can try and get it on the final lap, I think Blackwood is going to get the final podium place.
Yeah, that was timed to absolute perfection by Jafari Blackwood there on the final lap. Yeah.
Indeed, as now we look at the race leader Andrei Sazonov for Brimo. Looks like Blackwood has actually gapped Curtis a bit there now. As a result, as looking for the rear there of Hento Synonym, as now we look at Andrei Sazonov. He's just coming around the left and right-hander now. Then 20.4 seconds is the gap between the top two now then, and that's just how much Sazonov has pulled away after that little bump and run he did on the Japanese ride. In fact, Blackwood could get second at the line here. We'll have to get back onto that later because Sazonov is just coming around the final couple of corners now then on the racetrack. And now then Sazonov comes around the final corner for the 34th and final time. It's just been a brilliant race from him. And for the first time in his career, Andrei Sazonov is going to win a Formula 2 race as he wins the European GP here at the Nürburgring. A fantastic race for him as Blackwood tries to go onto the inside. He can't make it work. Synonym holds on to the place, and it looks like Synonym is going to hold on for second place. Curtis tries to dive it on Blackwood into the Coca-Cola curve. Not going to work out. So Sazonov wins the race. Synonym will take second place. He increases his lead in the championship. Blackwood just holds on for third. Curtis just misses out on the podium in fourth. Praza not too far away. He crosses the line in fifth. Zorbach will cross the line sixth. In fact, Broster was actually catching him up towards the end of the race there. So Zorbach is going to grab sixth. Broster finishes in seventh place just behind him in the end there then. As Serezny will finish 17th. Really, it was all caused by him, really. All of that for Serezny. And, well, Clearly, Cereznia and De Oliveira are not going to be sending any Christmas cards to each other, that is for sure. As now we can see Protsuk, how much of a train he's formed coming out of that chicane, but Protsuk will hold on to P8, so double points for High Tech Grand Prix, who currently sit bottom in the team's championship. Even if Sturt gets close, it's not going to be enough. The yellow flag, in fact, just before the chicane, actually. There is a yellow flag down at the chicane. Who on earth is that? As for some reason, we're not looking at it because there is a yellow flag down at that chicane. What on earth has happened down there? Because for some reason, there is a yellow flag. And, well, something happened down at that chicane. As,
Continuously with a suspension failure.
He's got a suspension failure, and he was just meters away from the line. You can see it's the front right. That's the one that's let go there. But Tilsley does not make it to the line, but he'll still be classified anyway because he has done 90% of the race distance. But yeah, that's just a cruel way to have a suspension failure right at the end of the race. Suto reclaims 5th as a result of that, and that's that for Tilsley. But your race winner here at the Nürburgring is Andrei Sazonov. A brilliant race from him. And, well, his first ever victory in the feeder series, and he'll definitely be happy about that. And Univirtuosi, this will definitely help them in the team's championship, that is for sure, as they, that's that, and confirmation that it was a suspension failure for Jake Tilsley on the final lap of the race there, as that's pretty much that. As anyway, we'll now take a look at the final race results then. As Andrei Sazonov takes his first ever win in the feeder series in the Univirtuosi with Hento Syndrome increases his lead at the top in second place. Jafari Blackwood is in third, with Aaron Curtis in fourth, Aji Prazan fifth, Nicholas Orbach in sixth, followed by Alex Brost in seventh, Ruslan Protsuk in eighth, James Sturt in ninth, Adam Chobot in 10th position. He completes the points with Fonchanik Kirshani in 11th, and you can do the rest, Dennis.
In P12, we have Santino Andreoli. Alexander Arnold finishes in 13th. With Tobias Kress in 14th, Joseph Ferdinand P15, with Jake Tinsley with the failure lap down, also Kai Svesnia with the damage lap down. The Oliveira still classified, and the retirements are Kirby, Bibona, Kulasek, and Oscar.
And the fastest lap of the race, let's see who's going to get the bonus point from that now then. And the bonus point is going to go to Alex Broster, and he did finish in the top 10, so Broster will get the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race, only just quicker than Sazonov by 25 pounds of a second. Of course, no national anthem for obvious reasons, so we're not going to have national anthems for this on this occasion. But that has been it then from the Formula 2 race here at the Nürburgring. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. A very, very enjoyable race here today, although I do think Flo has said that this will probably not be included again in the voted section in the future, given the amount of bump and runs that were going on, particularly that chicane, which led to drivers flying over that sausage curb. So I think we might not be seeing the Nürburgring at F2 for quite a while, unless Flo can fix it in the future. But until then, guys, that has been it. Of course, the next F2 race will, of course, be on next week at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, as they will be supporting the Belgian Grand Prix for the top class. Of course, we will have top class action tomorrow as well at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Should hopefully be an exciting race for the top class tomorrow. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Dennis Graff, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, hang on, driver of the day before Flo presses the off button there. Very lucky there. My driver of the day, because thankfully Ionescu just reminded me there just before we went off the air. I'm going to give my driver of the day to Aji Prazan for basically gaining 15 places in the race.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah, and I say the same. I have him marked out all the time.
Yeah, that's why his cursor was over his name there. But now we can finish. Thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Dennis, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Yeah, see you.